If you had to explain to somebody in the corporate world what the job of a therapist is like, it's that all day long you're going to have one-to-one meetings that have no agenda. You have no idea what's going to come up, and you're the one who has to run every single meeting. They're like, would you take that job? And they're like, no, I would not take that job.
Welcome to What It's Like to Be You podcast. My name is Yulia Otdushi. I'm a mental health counselor and hypnotherapist. I've always been fascinated by people, who they are behind their doors, behind their roles. We often meet each other through the titles, through what we do, teacher, therapist. There is a title and there's somebody beyond all of that, and it's a human being. And my first series of this podcast is called In the Room with a Therapist, where I invite healing clinicians, psychologists, mental health counselors, psychiatrists, and other healers to share what they like to be them, to better understand who is this person behind what they do. And today I'm joined by Christine Hartigan, clinical psychologist, co-founder of HNL Psychological Services in Lehigh Valley. So let's begin. Let's get to know Christine, who she is behind her role.
So Christine, thank you so much for taking your time.
Thanks for stopping in and visiting.
Yeah, so fun. You're my person.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Brings you to this field.
So I was thinking about that since you sent me the question. And so one thing I've told people before is when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a teacher, I wanted to be an author, and I wanted to be a scientist. So those were my three answers. If people ever said, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I didn't actually know about psychologists as a little kid. So when I look back, I'm like, oh, those things all kind of fit in with being a psychologist. And then my original major in college was math education. I wanted to be a high school math teacher. And I took my first psych class because it was part of my required courses. And I would stay late every time, and I had all these questions. I wanted to know more. And finally, one day, my professor looks at me and she was like, "What is your major?" And I was like, "Oh, it's math education." She's like, "No, it's not. She's like, it's psychology. She's like, you need to go change it."
Yeah,
so I did.
You did.
Yeah, after that semester. And then after that, it was just like fascinated by it.
It's just curiosity.
Yeah, well, I think also my own history. I had therapy as a teenager. I had like some dysfunctional family dynamics. My friends had some dysfunctional family dynamics. So part of it was like, I want to learn more about me and like other people. And then I was like, oh, I really like want to be a helper, but it wasn't what I originally planned to do. So freshman in college, I think I was 19.
19.
Yeah.
So sensing.
Yep. Yeah. And then I just finished my degree. I did a major in psych and a minor in business because I knew at some point I'd want to have my own practice. And then I went to grad school and then got my doctorate.
What is the biggest misunderstanding people have about the field?
Well, definitely that like we somehow like know everything, right? Like people when they come into therapy, like, okay, you're going to tell me what to do. Right? They kind of have that misconception, and I think sometimes that is portrayed in movies and TV shows, of like the therapist really like being more prescriptive and telling people what to do. So I see like where people can get that misconception from, but it's one of like the things I bring up a lot with new clients at the beginning when I'm kind of orienting them to like what to expect. This is what therapy's like. It's not my job to tell you what to do or make your decisions. I'm not going to tell you break up with your boyfriend or don't break up with your boyfriend, but I'm going to help that person really figure out what's most aligned for them. And in fact, one thing I say sometimes, it's the only time I'm going to tell you what to do is if there's a crisis and I'm telling you to go to the hospital. That's pretty much it. Like, otherwise, it's all like us exploring together what the choices are.
So you kind of, first session happens, you guide them through that, the expectation part.
Yeah, usually it's more after we've done the intake because the intake is so structured and I let them know what to expect with the intake. If I'm going to be asking you a ton of questions about yourself and like your symptoms, getting to know you and your history, and then we'll come up with a treatment plan and your goals. And so it's usually after those first sessions that I say, okay, now we're just going to do therapy. And this is you come in and I say, what do you want to work on? And we go from there. So that's sometimes that shift can be hard for people.
Yeah.
Like, wait,
I'm just curious.
you had all the questions.
Yeah.
You structured it all.
Yeah.
And so I kind of give them a heads
About
up.
floating.
Or even let them know, like, at the end of the intake session, like, next time it's going to be different, and like, this is what to expect.
What do you think about intake sessions now? Like, for me, it's still so weird because you're getting ready, person came to like, oh, I need to work on that, and then like bombarded with questions, and then you're like, okay, I have to wait 1 more week. Okay, I hope I can be alive. I hope I can make it through.
Yeah.
It's like always so.
You have to be very flexible with it,
Yeah.
right? Like, if somebody comes in and they just have like all this pent up to talk about, like, I just want to talk about it, right? I'm not going to be like, wait, I need to ask you about, this thing. And like, I remember working in community mental health, and we had to really be strict and like follow, like, you have to get through all this information in the first session. We had this computer program, the EHR, which you couldn't go back and forth. You could only go forward. And so like you would have to ask those questions and then move on for next.
Oh my God.
And I really disliked interrupting people telling their story. So definitely if I have one of those intakes, it's like, okay, the whole first session can just be an answer to what's bringing you into therapy. And if we have a second or third or fourth session to talk about the history or symptoms or get more information, that's fine. It can unfold in the way it needs to. And now I have control over that because I'm in private practice.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I do the same things.
Yeah.
Okay. And how about specifically your approach in therapy? What is it like? What it's like to be in the room with you?
Yeah. Well, I'm very much a proponent of like Rogerian therapy, so unconditional positive regard, non-judgment, like really creating that like safe space for people to feel like they can share anything, and that I'm going to help them work through it rather than like judging them or criticizing them. I do a lot of work with people who are trauma survivors or are dealing with codependency or other like stressors where they have been harmed, minority stress. And so the relationship is the intervention. It's, to me, the most important one.
So what it's like that first session after the intake, well, let's say the third may look like with you. Is there a certain structure? How do you set up the con? How do you help them?
Just what do you want to work on today?
That's
my
the biggest. What do you want to work on?
Yep, and then just following their lead. And of course, I might, pull things in like, this relates to what we talked about last session, or there's a lot going on up here.
Yeah.
But it's definitely more of like what's rising to the surface. Some of my favorite sessions are when people come in and say, I don't have anything to talk about. I'm like, oh, we're gonna get to some good stuff today then. Yeah.
So then you pull out.
Yeah, so
Let me
it's
open
just like
your
okay.
file.
And I'll just be like, all right, well, let's just see what rises to the surface and just wait.
Wait,
And just see.
silence?
Yeah, if we need to. Usually not that long. But yeah, I'll just be like, yeah, well, let's just see what rises to the surface and just let that come up. I had a supervisor in grad school who did that style with our group supervision, and she was, I think, a little bit stricter than I was about it. So we'd all come in and sit down, and she would just be like, okay, like, who was going to talk about today? And just look at the floor.
Oh.
And just wait. And wait for someone to say something. Yeah. But that is when more really interesting things come out.
Yeah.
Versus me being like, oh, well, let me get your treatment plan and let me look at my notes, and just being like, well, what's rising to the surface for you? And see what comes up.
How does it feel? Because it's a moment of that silence. It's just like.
I've definitely gotten more comfortable. Yeah, I remember in grad school we had to tape our sessions and watch them, and you would be in the session doing silence, and it would feel like it had been 10 minutes, and then you would watch the tape and you're like, oh, that was like 20 seconds.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, so I definitely like gotten better at just sitting and waiting and
Yeah.
just seeing what's going to come up. Then we need to give people that space. You know? And then sometimes it's something that maybe they haven't been wanting to talk about, or it's not kind of pushed to the back burner because there's been like this crisis and this fire to put out. And then we can just pause and like let it come up. The important things come out. We're so distracted in current society. Like we don't pause and just see what's happening with our thoughts very often.
I'm curious, like in those moments of silence, do you ever go in your head, or you just, are you silent yourself in
Yeah,
your
I can
head?
just kind of just wait.
You just,
Yeah.
there's nothing good.
Yeah, I mean, there's always something
Something,
going
yeah,
on in your
yeah,
head,
yeah,
right? You
something,
can't
yeah,
totally
that's-
shut it off.
Yeah.
But yeah, just kind of like waiting.
Do you give homework?
No, I'm not a big worksheet therapist. One, I'm not going to remember what I told you to do. So if I have to follow up on homework, it's not going to happen for me. But I think there's always like a thread between the sessions.
This is what I was wondering.
Yeah.
This is what sometimes missing, that threat. But yeah, so you're that therapist there.
Yeah, like, you know, maybe they start going off in a different direction.
Yeah.
And at some point I'm like, oh, like last session we had talked about, you know, your relationship with your mother. Did you get a chance to see her? You know, like, so there will be definitely some like pulling from past sessions, but it's also more just following the client's lead.
So what kind of usually feedback do you get from your client about the way they feel in your presence, or anything interesting you've heard over all these years you've been working?
Oh, you know, I always like it when clients like give you some sort of feedback like in the moment.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, did you ever think that what's happening now might be related to this other thing we talked about, you know, from when you were 4 years old? And they're just like, oh, like, how did you know that? Like, how did you remember that? You know, they're just like, you got me. Like, yeah.
Because it stays even.
Yeah.
Do you write a lot in this session? Like about
Only in intake sessions.
only take, otherwise you just.
Yeah, it's like I'll remember like, oh, this relates to this theme or this event, which is interesting because if you ask me like what my schedule is for the rest of the today, I couldn't tell you which clients I'm seeing.
Yes.
But I can remember what happened, you know, in someone's grandmother's funeral when they were 5, and like I can keep that detail in my head. Yeah, because it's like the narrative, the story. I can remember, and I love to read. I love novels. I feel like it's sort of I'm remembering people's oral history and oral stories, and I can track. You know, oh, remember in season 1 this happened. Yeah.
I love it. Seasons, yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I definitely like, you know, when clients do have those moments where they're like, oh, yep, this is why I come here. Yeah.
But how does it make you feel? What kind of part of you
Oh,
is
it's always nice to feel that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm helping somebody. Yeah.
So, speaking of help, like, what about makes you want to help?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I feel like I've always kind of had a helping personality. I mean, I am in recovery from codependency, so there's a help. There's an enabling aspect there, but there's also a helping aspect.
Yeah.
So it's kind of channeling that into something like positive and productive versus like codependency is enabling and not helpful. Yeah, and definitely there's those moments when like clients where, you know, we're both struggling and feeling like, oh, there's like this stuck part that we're in. I think that's also why I like working with transgender clients as well as people with complex trauma histories. Trauma work is much slower moving. It needs to be. Whereas someone coming in who like needs to get on hormones or needs a letter for surgery, like that's something you can do very quickly.
Yeah.
Typically, like how quickly they can get in with the surgeon, or they can start the hormones right away, and so you get more like immediate relief. Of course, some of my clients have trauma and trans, but you know, it's still nice to have sort of that variation.
Yeah.
Some it's a slower process, and some you see the quicker relief.
Yeah.
But I have to say though, with some of my long-term trauma clients, there's something really like wonderful about seeing that transformation over time. You know, like my one client said, she's like, I just came in for this, and I've been seeing you for 6 years, and we just keep pulling back the onion layers. And I'm like, I know, like there's just so much more that you can dive into and see people really change their lives so that they are taking better care of themselves, they're protecting themselves, and just really finding a life like worth living, as they say in DBT.
Yeah.
So I really like to see that transformation over the long term as well.
Talk about that all, because you have such a specific area, right?
With the LGBT kind of umbrella, well, I'm bisexual. I use queer as well because it's kind of more all-encompassing, but originally I came out as bisexual in college. And so I think I'd always just had that understanding or that connection to the community. And so then when I was my postdoc year, I did a training with another psychologist who had done 30 years of work with the trans community. And I learned all of these things I had no knowledge of, like how to do letters for hormones and surgery, and just kind of opened up this whole new world. And then I started seeing my first trans client, not really around issues related to being trans, and they had anxiety going on, but they wanted someone who was affirming and accepting. So I'm like, yeah, I can do that. And so they came to me, and then it was a couple months later, someone called me up and they're like, oh, I heard you're the expert in the area. And I was like, not by a long shot, but I could definitely see you. I'm working on my competency and kind of let them know where I was at. And so then I was like, I really have to learn more about working with this group and have cultural competency. So I started doing more continuing education. I started the consultation group at the Bradbury Sullivan LGBT Center because I wanted to have more consultation. I was looking for a group like that. And another therapist in the Lehigh Valley said, well, you should just start one. I said, oh, okay, I'll just start one. So I did. And then it just kind of kept going from there. But I also had, and I talked about this with many people, kind of a unique childhood experience with gender, where my mom had a full-time corporate job, in a very male-dominated role. And so she grew up more of a tomboy, so kind of had some more masculine traits, you would say, even though she's very feminine, but she was in more of a masculine role. And she had run into a lot of sexism, a lot of glass ceilings, working her way up the corporate ladder. And so when I was born, she wanted to give me a name that could be gender neutral. So I went by Chris when I was first born. And she was thinking okay, someday when I'm applying for jobs, I'm going to have a resume. I could put the name Chris and they won't know I'm a woman. So they won't discriminate against me and I'll get in the door. She couldn't have foreseen LinkedIn and things like that, at that time. So that was part of her process. And then she kept my hair short. So it was more of a gender neutral upbringing. And then I was about age 8, I started to insist on being called Christine. I was like, I'm a girl, my name's Christine, and it was my legal name, Christine. And I grew my hair out long, and so I tell people I kind of came out as cis at age 8, of this is who I am. I made everyone start calling me Christine. So I have a little bit of a glimpse of what that can be like to kind of know your gender at a young age and claim that. Yeah, I feel I've never been a real girly girl. I get my nails done because I don't know how to do it, I couldn't paint my nails to save my life. But I like how it looks. Yeah, and I'm not into real pink frilly stuff or high heels. But I definitely still have a feminine energy, but just not hyper feminine. And I had a lot of male friends growing up, so I could kind of hang out with the girls and do the Barbies and dolls, but I could also run around the neighborhood and play manhunt and wall ball and those kinds of things and felt comfortable, in all those different realms.
Right, so as a kid, you played around outside. You were allowed to be outside and play with your friends.
Yes, it was
also from the Black
early 90s.
Early 90s.
Yes. And we had certain parameters, don't cross major roads, but we would just be outside playing with our friends, all the kids in the neighborhood. Yeah.
Did you see the transition now? In your class, I don't know if you notice how it impacts.
Oh, it's very different. Yeah, more isolated, more technology. It's just nothing to watch. To just let your kids go out and play, even though that's what we did. We say we drank out of the garden hose because we didn't go inside. All of those experiences.
How do you, from the work you've seen, people you've seen, do you see impact? A lot of that impact
I think so. And I really found the book, The Anxious Generation, very interesting. We read that in book club.
I didn't, but
Yeah.
I bought the book for that book
Yeah.
club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just looking at how people have changed from, I forget the terminology they used in the book, but it was instead of like a in real life childhood,
Yeah.
it's now a technology childhood, and there's a lot more like parent involvement in terms of like organizing get-togethers or structured activities versus like we just went out in the neighborhood and just played. I was I didn't need adults monitoring that.
That's fascinating when you think about it, right? Because I think right now in US you're allowed to be outside alone at age 12.
Oh
I've
yeah.
been waiting for my nephew to turn 12. It's not 12.
I was babysitting at 12, right? Yeah, I was watching other people only for like a couple hours and I went to dinner. But still, like, I was in charge of keeping other children alive at age 12.
Do you think parents can get in trouble now if their kids outside with them?
Yeah, that was in the book, The Anxious Generation, where there, I forget what state it was in, but a child, I think they were 10, was walking down the street to go to like the corner store and pick something up. And then children youth got involved and the parents got a citation and all of this. And yeah, but we like running around at 10. I would say, I mean, there's definitely a lot of misconceptions about working with transgender clients. Yeah, and I think there's just a lot of misconceptions in general about transgender individuals. That people think it's like a mental illness to be transgender. It's not at all the case. So definitely, like, sometimes I have to educate people just on like understanding trans people, that they exist, and that it's a typical variation of human experience and not pathological.
Human experience.
Yeah, and transgender people have existed for millennia.
Yeah.
I mean, they were really eradicated by like let's say like white supremacy, but like colonialism and looking at like indigenous cultures that celebrated trans individuals, and so that was really like wiped out by colonialism. So if you look back into like history, this has existed for a really long time. But of course now there's so much stigma, there's so much misunderstanding. Yeah, they're just people, and really I think the biggest struggle they have is the minority stress, right? Like if they were fully accepted or even celebrated in society and given access to gender affirming care, we see studies that it significantly reduces the stress. So it's more of like living in a transphobic society that is affecting them than being transgender. So that I get a lot of misconception where people don't understand the difference between gender identity and sexual orientation. They'll say, oh, okay, well, if you're working with a trans woman and she's gay, right? She could be whatever, just like cis people. So
We always have those frames. Labels.
So kind of breaking people out of the binary concept.
Do you find yourself doing it often, especially when people learn about your sexuality?
Yeah, it definitely depends on like the situation I'm in. If I bring up, that's one of my specialty areas, like I'll kind of gauge who I'm with, if I really want to get into that or not with them. But I love talking about it. I talk to anybody about it all day long.
Okay. I don't know how you say pathologize. We tend to pathologize everything.
Yes.
Yeah. The diagnosis, forget about it. The person been diagnosed formally.
That's a whole other area where like, so say like someone who's experienced complex trauma, they're having normalized experiences for someone who's experienced complex trauma. Like their brain is reacting the way we would expect it to, and we give them a diagnosis, which I guess it's useful in terms of insurance billing and things like that, but really like this is what we expect. This is how we respond. And so like, yes, it gets in the way, and like if someone's having flashbacks and nightmares, like that is something we need to address and help them recover from. But they're having a very normalized reaction to trauma.
Like you said, we have this unique experience.
Yeah, and I think there is a shift happening from the like what's wrong with you to like what happened to you mentality.
Yes,
And that's another good book too. What
Yeah.
happened to you?
Yes, that book, I was gonna attend, I bought this book too.
Yeah.
I
love
do
reading.
another circle because I haven't finished it yet.
Yeah. Come back around.
I go back around.
Yeah.
Doing this work now for how many years?
Let's see. So I got licensed as a psychologist in 2014. And then of course you're doing, work in practicum, and then I started working in 2010 after I got my master's. I worked a year full-time in community mental health before I went back, so a long time.
Sorry, I'm doing the medics
My very first clinical experience ever was my undergraduate internship, and that was at Kids Peace for a summer. And so that would have been back in 2009, and that was a very interesting, original clinical experience. Yeah. Very high acuity, very intense clients at that level of care.
So considering that experience and all the other ones you had, what do you think is still so surprising about humans?
Surprising about it. Oh, there's so much, right?
So much, right?
Like we always say, like, you can't make this up, right?
Yeah.
Like, even if you wrote a book, people wouldn't believe it happened. One thing I'm always in awe of is, especially doing trauma work, is just the human capacity for resilience and the ability to like overcome or survive really horrific circumstances. Like the book, I'm not talking about books the whole time. Like the book, Man's Search for Meaning, like how people got through the concentration camps and the Holocaust. Like it is always so like just awe-inspiring to see that people can overcome, and then they can get into treatment, they can engage in recovery, and then they can heal from these after effects. And it's always, to me, just surprising when you first hear someone's story or trauma, and you're just like, wow, like, how are you even functioning after you've been through all that? But they are. They have that capacity.
So what are you learning about yourself in this journey?
Oh, I mean, so much. Like I do my own therapy, and all the clinical books that I like to read, right? So, I mean, there's always a piece of self-reflection in there and doing our own work. I started doing EMDR recently, and that's been really fascinating. And I've shared with my clients if I refer them. I'm like, yeah, it's like, you don't even know what's going on in your brain. It's like, you're like, how did that happen? How did it make those connections? So I think like also, taking our own time as clients is really important to work through our own stuff, so we're not trying to work through it by seeing the clients, and also helps us have the perspective of what it's like to be a client.
Yeah, so interesting.
Yeah.
Very important perspective.
Yeah. I remember there was I forget what television show, and the character was a therapist, and they were in therapy. And someone had said to them, like, I don't understand, like, you're a therapist, why do you need to be in therapy? Right. And they had said, sometimes a tow truck needs a tow. And I was like, oh, that's such a great way of thinking about it, right? Like, a tow truck can't tow itself.
Yes. What do you do after sessions? At the end of the day, what kind of rituals do you have?
Yeah, I think you have to have your own, self-care plan, right? Because we do sit with a lot of pain, a lot of trauma. We also get to sit with a lot of joy and celebration. But yeah, I think if you don't have a solid self-care plan, you can get burnt out really easily. So like I like to do like restorative yoga, like the sound baths we were talking about earlier. I've been doing restorative yoga for almost 10 years now on a very regular basis. It's just that pause for me, my central nervous system to just calm down. Any kind of movement, like I've been getting into bar 3 classes, so I love taking walks in nature, like just getting the body to move. And sometimes there's those days, at the end of the day though, where you just like can't be a human anymore, and like I'll just kind of go home and be like, I just need to go lay down. I just need to have like no sensory input whatsoever. I'm just going to take like a quick nap and then like, move on with the rest of the evening because it can be draining to do this work.
Yeah.
I think it was right after the inauguration of Trump's second presidency, because of the population I work with, there was so much stress, and I'm feeling it too. And so I think it was pretty much 4 weeks after the inauguration, like every Friday, because I work Monday through Friday, I would just get off the computer and like, that's it. Like I just have to go lay down, and I would just take like a 3-hour nap for like several weeks in a row on Friday. So I just have to like do a hard reset on my body. Yeah. And I think too, like the social piece, like I love the therapist book club, the consultation group. We do consultation here with all the therapists weekly. And so just having that community, you're not alone. Like if I have a really tough session or a hard case, you know, I call up Allison, the other owner of our practice, like I just have to like run this by you, or if anybody's door is open, we can talk to each other about our cases, like outside of that formal consultation time. Like, you have to have that community.
Yes. You have to also release that vessel to not everything just stays there.
Yeah. And luckily my husband is very understanding and supportive. If I come home and just like can't human today, like just have to like veg on the couch, and he's like, all right, no problem, we can do that.
Yeah. Speaking of human though, I love that you brought it up. It's one of the questions. So let's say if you met, let's say, an alien, or somebody who doesn't know what it's like to be a human, and you really wonder what it's like to be a human.
Yeah.
What could you tell them? What is it?
It's like to be a human. Oh, that's interesting. Well, it's funny because I actually was just watching a show, Resident Alien, about an alien who crash lands on Earth, and then he becomes like assimilated with humans, and he changes and becomes very human-like. It's a cute show. So one of the things, just watching that show, it was the interconnectedness of humans. Because from his planet, like it was more like, you know, when reptiles or fish have babies, like you never see the children again. You don't have a family. Like there's no connection, and that was the thing that he started to really realize that he enjoyed and wanted more of, was like the family connection. So I think it's the way humans are so interconnected, even if we don't feel like it all the time. But like we grew up, you know, or not grew up, but like we originated with like tribal communities and collective societies, and so we really thrive like when we have that social support and connection, and we are so much more connected than we realize, especially now when people are more isolated and siloed, but we have so much more in common than we do, you know, apart.
So it's this connection.
Yeah, it's about that connection and community, and again, like we see that for ourselves as therapists. That's how we you know, thrive in doing this work. But it's also when we work on with our clients. So like, who's in your social support system? Can you become some part of something bigger than yourself? So that might be unique. I don't know what the alien's life is like. Who's talking to?
Because
But,
like, But I'm curious. Let's say that alien is a child, who an alien only in a way that they don't know what it's like to be a human adult. They know what it's like to be a human child. They don't know what it's like to be a human adult.
yeah.
So, human adult. What is that? From your personal life experience, if somebody, let's say, decided to, if somebody was allowed to live a day of their life, what did they discover?
Yeah. No, I think if a child is discovering more of like an adult life, he's probably realizing like how much more responsibility is involved. Like I remember being a kid and thinking like, oh, when I'm an adult, I can stay up all night and I can have birthday cake for, you know, dinner if I want to. And now it's like, well, yeah, I could, but then I'm going to be tired the next day, or I'm going to have a sugar crash. Like, so yeah, more of just kind of like how much responsibility goes into your day-to-day work. Even with like the behind the scenes part of being a therapist, like documentation, the billing, the calling the insurance companies, and you're trying to get a straight answer out of them, or you know, all those pieces.
Running your business.
Yeah, the business aspect, and supporting the other therapists that were here, all of that end of it. It's like also the really hard work. So yeah, maybe that's the theme. Like it's hard work to be an adult, to be a human.
So if somebody lived your life for a day, what would be, let's say, extraordinary for them that is so ordinary for you?
Yeah, I think just sitting and having prolonged conversations with other people, right? Like I was reading something and it was saying like, if you had to explain to somebody in the corporate world what the job of a therapist is like, it's that all day long you're going to have one-to-one meetings that have no agenda. You have no idea what's going to come up, and you're the one who has to run every single meeting. We're like, would you take that job? And they're like, no, I would not take that job. But that's what we do. Like, you sit down with a client, you have no idea what's going to come up. You might think you know based on the last session we talked about this, but life is so unpredictable. We have no idea what could have happened in that week or even less. And so, yeah, I think it's just kind of what it's like to sit and have these really long, in-depth conversations with other people that we don't have that much anymore.
That brings to the next question then. What do you think people are longing the most from what you observed?
Definitely connection. I think that's the theme of our conversation. Like, people are so isolated, and even if you're on a device or you're on social media, you're not really connected. You know, like you can comment on a post that you put up,
Yeah.
but that's not the same thing as sitting in the room with you and
Yeah.
having a conversation about something. I think there's a real lack of community in our current society. Where people are very siloed and they feel isolated, they feel alone. Like we talk about like the loneliness
Yes.
epidemic. So yeah, I think people just they need that connection so much now because it's lacking.
Absolutely.
Like in person, in real life.
In real life.
Yeah. And social media can be a helpful substitute, but I think if we can use that to plan like in-person
Yes.
gatherings, even if it's on video
Yeah.
or Zoom, like
Yes.
that's still better than just like text messages where you're just interacting with this piece of plastic and metal and not a real human being in
Yes.
front of you.
Can't replace the energy, right? It's just so,
No.
so
Even on like a neurological level, like we release the hormone oxytocin when we're in person with someone, and we don't release it at the same level through a video or through interacting with a device. So we have more empathy and we connect more with people. So even on the neurobiological level, we know it's different to be in person. More senses are involved.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. You must do.
Yeah, and at least with video, you can see someone's facial expression,
Yes.
tone of voice, and activates the mirror neurons. Like if they lean in and we lean in, right?
Yeah.
We're still getting some of that, but there's still a piece missing, the in-person connection.
So connection. So Elian, we learned from you connection. Connection. So the name of the podcast is What It's Like to Be You. Do you mind to share what it's like to be you?
It's like to be really. That's a really big question. Yeah.
You can break it down.
Yeah, like what it's like to me as a therapist.
As a person outside of therapy.
As a person outside of therapy, I do like to do a lot of relaxing.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think because of the work that
Yeah.
I do, so definitely like to take it easy. I have a rule where every month there has to be one weekend with nothing social planned. So we can just do whatever, like spontaneous, hang out, have fun. Or if we decide to make last minute plans, we can. But I think having just that downtime is really helpful. So I was telling you earlier, like my husband's really into house plants, so we have plants everywhere. So we'll go to plant stores and shop around for things, and so just kind of take it easy, low key. But I also really like to get together with people and have that time. But I just have to make sure I'm spreading things out enough. Like even 2 social events in one weekend can be difficult for me around I just need that, like, and I'm more introverted. Like I need that time to reset and just like read or binge watch a show, have that time. And then also time for yoga and working out, and those types of things. My cat is very good at modeling. Like we're just gonna lay around all day. Yeah. Yeah.
You pet mama?
Yes. Well, I'm a stepmom to the cat.
Oh,
Yeah, it's my husband's cat.
yeah.
He kind of likes me.
Like you're gonna, yeah.
I'm definitely the step parent. Second best for sure.
Yeah, mine the same. She, when I'm not around, she goes to my partner.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm around, she just goes to me.
Right. Yeah, we could be like cuddling and petting him.
Yeah.
As soon as my husband comes home, it's like, okay, bye.
I don't know.
You don't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't even know the name.
Right. And then I do like to travel. Like, so my family is in the Maryland area now, and my husband's is up in the Vermont area. So we try to plan a couple trips a year to go visit family and enjoy, especially the Vermont scenery. And there's so much to do in the Baltimore area. So getting down there, seeing my niece who's 4, and I have niece and nephews in Jersey who are grown now. They're 2 of them are adults. I don't know how that happened. So
Yeah.
also seeing that. So just keeping up with friends and family and book clubs. I'm in 2 of them, so I have to keep up with my reading and seeing my book club people.
It's fun to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Family connection.
Yeah, I mean all like the boring stuff, like the chores and the laundry. And
Yeah.
gotta do all that stuff too.
Yeah, that's like that.
Yeah. Sometimes I make that like my do nothing day. It's like I'm gonna do the laundry because then I can lay on the couch, but I'm still doing a chore because there's laundry in the washer. So.
And it doesn't stop. Not like
Right.
days remember. Oh, I don't know if you remember.
Right. Yeah, my grandmother would have to do that.
Just
Yeah.
imagine the laundry day.
I just have to set a timer to go change
Yeah,
it every.
Unfold it. Maybe.
Yeah.
I can refold
Sometimes
it.
it folds.
Just can lay there.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So if somebody then could, the feeling, right? The feeling. If somebody could experience the feeling that's really important to you, what would be that feeling?
I think like the feeling of connection, definitely, but also like, taking time to pause, like some more of that peacefulness, just like being connected with nature, like more of the mindfulness. Because again, we don't take a lot of time to pause. Like even recently, my husband and I like to get like bagel sandwiches on the weekend, and we've been taking them over to a local park that's right nearby. So instead of like eating in the car or taking it home, we'll just go over, and sometimes we still eat in the car, but we're looking at the geese and the ducks and the river, and just it's a moment to pause and not constantly be busy, go, which it does feel like that as a therapist. Like we are very much like scheduled back to back, go. Oh, I gotta return this phone call. I gotta do this. Gotta eat my lunch and then come back in with the client. So it's nice to slow things down in our downtime.
So then, the last question, like, what are you still learning?
Always learning something. Yeah.
Learning maybe about yourself. Because we're constantly students, right?
Yes. Yeah, and then I think continuing education trainings.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd. Like I'll always do like way more credits than I need. I don't do the minimum because I really like learning about new like styles of therapy or even ones that aren't new but I'm just new to me.
Yeah.
Like I'm really fascinated by attachment theory and understanding about more how those early childhood experiences shape our attachment style. So I love learning about anything to do with that and just how to be a better therapist too, like new techniques you can use, new metaphors. I love having consultation groups with other therapists where we're talking about a case and we get to hear about like this, technique they use, or this metaphor, and like, wow, like I'm gonna steal that. I want to use that too. So, yeah, I think doing this kind of work, we need that. Constantly like learning and being humble, and then the field changes and new research comes out, and we learn more about what's effective and what's not effective. I know I've changed the way I approach things, in my career based on new learning that I've engaged in. Like, okay, well, we used to think this, but now we're going to do it this way. So we do have to have a very flexible, evolving kind of viewpoint in what we do.
Yeah, this is what we teach people, how to be flexible,
Yes,
how to be,
yes.
not teach, how to
Right.
how to learn how to be.
Yeah, encourage that.
From your own life experience, what have you learned that you could never learn from the book?
My own life experience.
Yeah.
I would say probably my own experiences with trauma, dysfunctional family experiences. I mean, you do have to be careful not to engage in false empathy where you just expect everyone's experienced the same exact thing as you. But I think when you have faced your own trauma and your own darkness, then it is easier to be non-judgmental or have unconditional positive regard for clients because you get it. You've maybe not been there in the same way, but you've been there, you know what it feels like to kind of have your world fall apart from trauma. And yeah, that you can't fully learn. And really, I don't think I've ever met a therapist who didn't have some of their own lived history with either mental health concerns or trauma. There's a reason that you get into this field. It's just that kind of pay it forward idea.
So then, from this last question, as you were sharing that, it's just putting, then what's your hope for humanity?
It would be nice if we stopped bombing each other to start with, but yeah, I think that love piece, love and connection and seeing the similarities rather than the differences. I mean, even when you do read about war or these horrific things happening, it's just everyday ordinary people that are caught up in this. We have so much more in common. So yeah, I think the world, at least in our country, is moving more toward an understanding of mental health, and things are being incorporated in schools, mindfulness practices, or these healthier ways of approaching emotion regulation. So I hope that does continue. It's so much healthier for all of us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I feel like I can talk to you. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like we can talk a lot. More other tomorrows, but enough to go to have lunch.
Anytime I do a podcast with anybody, I could just keep talking forever.
Yes, I love that. Maybe we'll do part two.
Oh yeah, yes, we'll do a part two.
Part two.
Yeah.
Although the other questions we didn't get to.
Yes.
Yes. Well, thank you, Christine. I know you have to go have lunch.
Yes.
Well, what it's like to be you. Thank you, Christine.
Oh yes, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Do you want anything else people to know about you?
No, I think that's about it. Well, and then the practice is H&L Psychological Services, so you can find us. We're on Facebook and Instagram now. I feel very cutting edge, to be honest.
Yes.
It's I'm in my 40s. Let me figure this out.
Yeah,
but also, you can just find us on our website, too, if anyone's interested in seeing any of the therapists here. We have 14 therapists now in the practice.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Actually, it's soon to be 15 full-time. Yeah.
Full-time?
We're taking somebody else on. Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good.
It's creating your own community here.
Yes. Community. Yes. What about connection?
Thank you for joining this conversation, and I hope you got out something from that. For me personally, I think another confirmation how human connection, how having a community, dialogue with each other is such an essential human need, and growing it, expanding on it, getting to know yourself, what it's like to be yourself, to understand your own depth, to understand your own curiosities can help you to create the communities where you feel welcomed, where you feel belonging, sense of belonging, because each of us, we need it. As Christine was sharing through her experiences, that connection is number one. So I'm curious what it's like for you. Feel free to drop the comment, send me email. Would love to understand what connected with you, because the idea here and what it's like to be you is to understand that connection with yourself and how that connection can be expanded, can be embraced, can bring more joy and kindness to the world around us, create more empathy, understanding of yourself and others. So I'll leave you with a question that perhaps if you can take time to reflect throughout the week, throughout the days, what it's like to be you. Thank you again for joining, and I'll see you next time. And for now, take care, sending you kindness, love, understanding.
Centray. Can you tell me about your Centray?
Yeah. That's, if you can come over and look at it. So I've tried to incorporate things from all different like cultures and religions, and then just having, inspirational words and quotes. I had my friend make some of these pendants with all the different symbols in them. She makes jewelry, so she did this with like the Om symbol. And of course I got all my pride stuff in there too. So yeah, the sand tray is a nice place to come and relax.